Coaching Roundtable. Today is the 18th session, and the topic for today is how can you switch from your current profile or your switch your career path to become a Scrum Master. So we have done a similar kind of a session in the past, wherein we talk about how to get your first Scrum Master job. So if you have not watched that video, so you can find on our YouTube channel, or else I'll be linking somewhere in the corner in the top of this video. You can go ahead and watch that video as well. It will give you a perspective as in how to get your first Scrum Master job. And the session that we are going to talk today about, that is somewhere more or less similar to what we have spoken in our past session. But I have tried to try to put a different perspective to what we have seen in that video. So the reason why I have picked up this topic once again or all over again is because in the past month or since past month, many people have reached out to me and Vivek to help them towards this career path of a Scrum Master, or asking for guidance. How do we get or land into a Scrum Master role? What needs to be done and all of that. So almost I can say like close to 50 people or so have would have reached out to us. So we thought, why not once again cover or touch base this topic, so that people can kind of benefit out of it. And I also understood that the things that I have covered in my last video, and the ask of people is bit not that the same. So I thought I would exactly touch base on the points that people are looking for. So on that note, let me just share my screen and the presentation. I'm turning off my camera. Let me know if you're able to see my presentation.
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So first of all, I would like to bust some myths around the Scrum Master role, Scrum Master job, and whatnot. So first thing I would like to talk about here is Scrum Master job is not an entry level job. So as I mentioned, the reason why I have covered this session is like many people from different experience level, at a different experience level or job profile, have reached out to me to seek help or guidance. So that is the reason why I have tried to put some myth busters over here. So there is a big myth that a Scrum Master job is a very simple or a role. It's a simple one, and anyone can take up that role. Be it a fresher or a fresh graduate or any entry level job seeker can take up this job. No, Scrum Master job is not an entry level job. It requires certain amount of experience, certain level of maturity, understanding to be able to take up that. So the first myth buster is this: Scrum Master job is an entry level job. No, it's not. Second is certification can guarantee a job. You would uh, come across this sentence quite often. You would have, if you would have done the certification, or if you approach any training institutes for a certification, they will tell you that we with this certification you can get a job of a Scrum Master, or can give you job guarantee and what not. What I would like to put out over here is that no certification uh, in the world can guarantee you a job. For that matter, no training, no certification can guarantee any job. So job can be bagged with your experience and skill set. certification, having just a certification will not guarantee a job. Job assistance is something else and job guarantee is something else. So whoever sells you certification with the name of job guarantee, please try to rethink on your decision. Third point is, anyone with 2 day certification is a Scrum Master. No, you would have seen, and maybe let me put it this way: we come across people, because I've been interview panel since long time now. Whenever I go through the resume, or whenever I come across people or talk to people, what they think is that if we do that 2 day certification, 2 day training followed by certification exam, I can become a Scrum Master. No, Scrum Master can one cannot become a Scrum Master with just a certification. You need to understand the role. You need to understand what that role demands. You need to understand the agile values and principles, Scrum framework, or whatever. Why I'm talking about Scrum framework? Because Scrum Master uh, role is, or maybe now it has turned out to be a accountability. Scrum Master accountability is applicable for Scrum framework, safe framework, and less framework. So you will not see any other framework which will talk about Scrum Master. And Scrum framework is like popular and most widely used. That is the reason why people assume that Agile is equal to Scrum. No, it is not. Having said that, anyone with just 2 day certification cannot become a Scrum Master. Next is, expertise in project management tools is mandatory. I mean, this is the latest buzz thing that I have come across. The people go berserk about project management tools. When I talk about project management tools, I'm talking about Jira, Rally, Azure DevOps, TFS, and whatnot. People think that having knowledge and having experience on that tool is mandatory to become a Scrum Master. No, those are just tools, and tools can be learned. I mean, it can be learned in a day or two. I mean, it's not a mandatory thing that if you do not know a tool, you cannot become a Scrum Master. No, it's not the case. It can be learned, because what happens is, uh, today you will think that Jira is the tool, and you will go, I mean, I have seen people giving certifications or trainings on project management tools also. I have seen people giving training on Azure DevOps tool or Jira tool and whatnot. So what people think is that, okay, today Jira is in much demand, and all the job descriptions demand Jira tool, so I'll go for a certification. What if you join that organization and client says that, no, I don't want to use Jira, but we are our business is proposing Azure DevOps tool. What will happen in that case? Does that mean that you're not a Scrum Master? No. So expertise in project management tool is not mandatory. It is good to have, but it's not mandatory. So anyone demanding that this expertise in Jira is mandatory, that means they are not following Scrum to the core, or not. They do not know about Scrum Master role to the core. Next is, async project management tool will guarantee a Scrum Master job. No. So what people think is that today I know Jira or Azure DevOps, or you may know multiple project management tools for that matter. But then if you do, if you know that tool, that doesn't mean that you are a Scrum Master. Just knowing a tool does not qualify you as a Scrum Master. So that, as I mentioned, that is just a tool. So please keep these points in mind, that these are just the misconcepts. These are not the facts. So whenever you think of getting into this role of a Scrum Master, please do not go berserk about all these points. Please be aware of the fact that your knowledge, your experience on Scrum, Agile, practices, processes, mindset is what that will get you a Scrum Master job. So this is the underlying statement for this session. Okay. Now you may ask what we need to do to get the Scrum Master job. We will just talk about that. Okay. So what are the prerequisites? So as I mentioned, it is not an entry level job. Minimum 5 to 6 years of total experience is required. So why I am saying, if you ask me personally, at least 6 years of experience is what required. But nowadays I have seen this trend, especially during pandemic, that people are also entertaining, or maybe I'll not say entertaining. People are also open to give that opportunity to 5 years experience uh, candidate to take up this role. So why am I saying that you need at least 5 6 years of an experience? Because you should have that much understanding of the workflow of experience of working in an industry. I'm not just talking about IT industry, but any industry. And you should have that level of maturity to take up this role, because Scrum Master role is a leadership role, or let me put it this way, it is a management role or a leadership role. So it requires that amount of experience, maturity and understanding, so that you can take up that role and do justice to that role. Second is prior knowledge or experience on software development lifecycle. So this is specifically applicable for someone who is looking out for a Scrum Master job in an IT industry. That is the reason why I have put that. Just an example, if you're looking out for a Scrum Master job in an IT industry, if you have 5 to 6 years of experience, then I assume that you know what software development lifecycle is. If you want to do that transition from non-IT industry to IT industry, and you are looking out for a Scrum Master role, then what I would uh, kind of suggest you is, first understand what is software development life cycle. How does that life cycle runs? What do we have in that software development life cycle? And then you try to relate entire software development life cycle with your role. So these are some of the tips I must say that will make your life easy in maybe searching for a job, or maybe doing justice for Scrum Master role. Next is prior experience as a lead or a manager. As I mentioned, Scrum Master role is a leadership role. That is the reason why at least you should have some experience as a lead or a manager. Why am I saying this? If you see the responsibilities of Scrum Master, it is not an individual contributor role, right? It's a leadership role. So you would find some of the responsibilities like causing removal of impediments, or maybe guiding team, managing team as Scrum Master, or helping team towards the sprint goal, or directing team towards the sprint goal. So these are some of the responsibilities. So as an individual contributor, it would not help you to do that justice to that role. If you have played a role of a lead or a manager, so you would know that team dynamics, you would know how to manage a team, how to lead a team, and with that you would be able to take up this role easy. Last but not the least, and this is the most important point, prior knowledge of Agile and Scrum. So at least you should know what Agile is about, you should know what Scrum is about. So when I say prior knowledge, it is good to have thing if you have an experience working in an agile way, or in using a Scrum framework. But if you do not have, at least get some knowledge about agile, get some knowledge about Scrum. If you have that knowledge, it will really help you to guide your team, implement some of those practices, follow principles, values, and whatnot. So prior knowledge is very important. Some people may ask me, if we are not from IT background, how do we have that knowledge? Not necessarily that Agile or Scrum is applied only for IT. Scrum can be applied in any walks of life. I have seen people and I have met people who are applying Scrum framework in their teaching world, right? They have been working as teachers. I have also met people who are like who are coaches or teachers for a special children, right? Even in their world, they are applying Scrum, or if they are like in a teaching world for maybe primary section or secondary section, even in their world they are teaching using Scrum framework. If you ask me personally, you won't believe I have applied Scrum, combination of Scrum and Kanban for my marriage preparation. I mean, that's a fact. I have applied I have ensured that all the arrangements are done in a proper way using Scrum and Kanban. So not necessary that only IT for IT Scrum framework can be applied. No, you can apply wherever applicable, any walks of life, as I have mentioned. So these are the prerequisites for becoming a Scrum Master. Now let's talk about few other points. Okay. This is a very interesting thing. As I've already mentioned, certification does not guarantee you a job. Certification, doing just 2 day certification doesn't ensure you that you are a Scrum Master. That doesn't validate your knowledge, to be frank. But are certifications important? Yes. Why am I saying so? Because the Scrum Master role, or maybe an Agile coach role, has become so much trendy nowadays, and so much of a buzzword, is that now companies want Scrum Master who uh, who are really good at their skill. And and there are like many and many of them who are just claiming to be a Scrum Master. So what is the filtration criteria in all these things? So this is what companies feel, that this is one of the filtration criteria, so that we can filter out people who are not certified. So that is the reason why employers or companies are looking for certification and nothing else. So certifications will not validate your knowledge. Certifications will are like just your gatekeepers. It will just give you a entry pass. For an example, if you're going out for some concert, if you're going out for some party, or if you're going out for some wedding, okay, so you need an invitation, right? So you need a pass. So certifications are just like a pass. It will not validate your knowledge. So please do not run after certifications. As I mentioned, yes, it is important to just kind of not filter you out, in order to get you that job or a entry to that organization, or to as an applicant, you need a certification. But doing just certification will not guarantee a job. Okay, now comes the another question: which certification do we do? There are so many certifications out in the market, right? But then which one to pick up, and which one do we do? So what I would like to mention about certification over here is, there are two popular certifications. One is PSM, second is CSM. One is from Scrum.org, one is from Scrum Alliance. PSM is Professional Scrum Master, CSM is Certified Scrum Master. PSM is given by Scrum.org, and CSM is given by Scrum Alliance. Both are globally recognized, but there are some differences. Okay, PSM certification does not require mandatory training. The 2 days mandatory training is not required for PSM. The reason why I have put up this slide is because people have also asked me about this certification, which one to choose. So just to give clarity, I know that a few of you would already know about this, but I thought I would just cover that as well. So PSM is by scrum.org and it does not require 2-day mandatory training, and you can just uh, read about it, learn about it, and give that certification exam. Just pay for certification exam, and that too directly on scrum.org, and you can become a PSM. Whereas CSM requires 2-day mandatory training. After that training, there would be a certification exam. Obviously, you'll have to pay for training as well, and as well as the certification. So this is the difference. Second difference is PSM touch bases on the Scrum on a bit deeper level as compared to CSM, which means PSM is bit tougher as compared to CSM. CSM is easier as compared to PSM. But the saddest part is, though PSM touch bases or goes to bit deeper level, PSM is less popular as compared to CSM. I'm not saying that it is not popular. These are the two popular certifications, but CSM is something which I'll say is marketed really well. Okay, so CSM, because of its marketing strategy, has become more popular, a bit more popular than PSM, but both hold good value and both are globally recognized. So if at all you have to do, you can do either of those. This is not any promotional session or promotional video that I'm doing, but I'm talking as per my experience goes. So you go either for PSM or CSM, both are globally recognized. You can go for any of them. Basis your need or basis your priority on the criteria, you can choose your certification. Next is, once you are ready with the certification, assuming that you have met all the prerequisites or you touch base on few of the prerequisites, and you have a certification. Now you are kind of ready to at least start applying for jobs, right? But before that, one thing I would suggest is drink the Scrum Guide. Why I have mentioned drink the Scrum Guide? Because it is very, very, very important that as a Scrum Master, you should know what Scrum Guide talks about. You should know what is written in your Scrum Guide. This is like a Bible, Gita, or Quran for us, for Scrum Masters. So whatever Scrum Guide says is what ideally we are supposed to do. Why am I saying ideally? Because you will realize as you go in your journey, you as a Scrum Master, there you will realize that there would be some anti-patterns, some things that you're not following as per the Scrum Guide. Scrum Guide is something that will give you guideline how to what needs to be done. How it needs to be done is what a individual has to figure out. So obviously you need some guidelines or a reference. So Scrum Guide is very important. And the beauty about Scrum Guide is both the certifications, that is PSM or CSM, are based on Scrum Guide. So if you see any other certification out in the market which you find it globally recognized but not following Scrum Guide, then I would suggest rethink on your decision. So both CSM and PSM are based on Scrum Guide, and the latest Scrum Guide is revised. The Scrum Guide got revised in 2020. The ideal interviewer will ask you questions from Scrum Guide. If you are giving or attending an interview and you feel that you are whether you have a good knowledge about Scrum or not, then validate against the Scrum Guide. If an interviewer is asking you questions and trying to check the rationale behind doing things what we do against the Scrum Guide, then they are following a pure form of Scrum Master. or they are following pure Scrum framework. You will also see lot of adulteration to Scrum Master role. You will see that people expect Scrum Master to take care of deliverables, do project management activities, call them Agile project managers, name them Scrum Masters and whatnot. But if you really want to see what a Scrum Master is supposed to do, then you will have to follow the Scrum Guide. And even if you want to convince anyone whether it is right or not, you can use Scrum Guide as your guidelines, even in your organizations, and educate them that these are right and these are wrong. So bring the Scrum Guide. Okay. Now you are like, you covered your prerequisites, then you have done your certification, you know everything about Scrum Guide. What next? So whatever or whichever organization that you are currently working in, first try to look within your organization. Opportunity would be available. So as I mentioned, so nowadays Scrum Master job has become so popular, and people are looking out for Scrum Masters like anything, because there is this transition period that is going on from waterfall to agile. So there are a lot of people who are looking for Scrum Masters. So instead of searching outside your organization, first try to look within your organization. Check with your maybe staffing person, or maybe HR, or maybe within your circle. Check your IJPs, internal job postings, whether they are going, whether they are looking out for a Scrum Master or not. So if you are meeting all the prerequisites, then definitely you should apply for it. Because if you do not have prior experience of working as a Scrum Master, the probability of getting chance within your organization is more as compared to looking outside the organization. So look for opportunity within your organization, talk to people, and if they are ready to give you that opportunity, I know just saying is very simple, and when it comes to practice it is very difficult. I have tried myself, and I have faced a lot of difficulty, because even I have transitioned from, I have started my journey from developer, then I moved to QA, then I moved to Scrum Master, then I moved to Agile Coach. Now I'm working as an enterprise Agile Coach. So this has been my journey. So I had also, I mean, lot of difficulties looking for opportunity within the organization, within my current the organization then, but that gives you an easy access. So look for opportunity within your organization first. If you do not get opportunity within your organization, what you can do is you volunteer your services. Volunteer your services as a Scrum Master. Teach them, if you find that your current project is not on agile, or if it's based on a waterfall, just propose them that let's do in an agile way, let's follow a Scrum framework. How you can do that? Obviously if you go and tell your leader or leadership, they will not entertain you, or they'll say no. Do not start forcing or kind of asking them implement Scrum at the first go itself. Start introducing few things. Just an example. If you want, you can start with introducing Scrum call. Maybe tell them that instead of waiting for months together to have that connect, or having that weekly connect or fortnightly connects, let's connect every day. Let's do Scrum call. Maybe you can start with that, or maybe you can introduce retrospectives, you can introduce reviews. So slowly you can start introducing such things within your project. If your project does not kind of give you that opportunity, find for some community of practice, COP or COE, Center of Excellence for Agile. Volunteer over there, contribute there in any which possible, in any which ways that is possible. if you want to write some articles, whether you can conduct some interviews, or maybe you may want to give trainings to freshers. So these are all the things that I have done. So what I used to do is, I knew I did my certification. I was reading a lot about Scrum Master, but I was not getting opportunity within my project itself. So what I did was, I there was already a Scrum Master within my project. So I used to observe that Scrum Master a lot. I mean, what that person is doing, how she is conducting the uh, events, how is she facilitating, why is she doing what she is doing. All those things I used to ask too many questions, and I used to tell my manager that please let me shadow her, let me just I want to tag myself to her wherever she goes, or whichever event that she conducts. So I used to tag myself to that Scrum Master, and I used to tell my manager, whenever you feel that I can take up that role, please give me that opportunity. Second thing is, whenever she used to go on a leave, I used to ask for that opportunity. Please let me do that. So that is how I did my job. So half QA, half Scrum Master. I know it is very difficult to manage both the roles, and you won't be able to do justice, but that's how I started. So that was one level of contribution that I did. So I found out a center of excellence for agile, or in within my organization back then. So this I'm talking about 2016 and 17. So I found out a center of excellence within the existing organization. I volunteered there. I told them that please give me that opportunity. If you're working on any RFPs, or if you're working on any new projects, or setting up a Scrum team, please let me contribute. Or whoever joins that particular so whichever BU or business unit that I am allocated to, so whoever was working, or I mean whoever was joining newly to that BU, I used to conduct trainings for that group, or maybe fresh graduates. For them, I used to conduct trainings on Agile and Scrum. So this way, I started engaging myself towards the organization, volunteering my services. Apart from this, why only limit yourself towards your organization? You can contribute outside your organization also. How can you do that? You can kind of the way you have found out that COPs or COEs within your organization, you can find out such organization, such COPs or COEs outside your organization. Look around within the agile community, volunteer services. So even today, if you ask me, I kind of volunteer my services as a speaker. So wherever I find an opportunity to conduct sessions, or attend events, or be a volunteer guest for any speaking event, I go ahead and do that. Why I do that? Because I get to learn. So join such communities, look out for agile community. So if you talk about us, even we have an agile community called Agile Coaching Roundtable, that is ACRT. And in that community, we are more than 100 people. So this I'm telling for people who have joined for the first time to this session. So we have this community, we have a group, we discuss, we learn, we grow in this group. So contribute to such communities. If you do not have any community, form one, the like we did, right? So form one community, volunteer your services outside your organization also. So gather all that experiences, uh, just try to channelize that experience or map that experience to that of a Scrum Master, and you can showcase that experience. Next is resume. Your resume should speak your work. This is something is very important. Why am I saying this resume is very important? Because till you get an opportunity, or till you go for an interview, no one is going to know who you are as a person, or what skills you hold, or right, what skills you have. Your resume becomes your face. So your resume should reflect all the experience that you have so far in your entire career. So your resume becomes a critical thing over here. So I have kind of reviewed resumes, as I mentioned, right? Many people reached out to me over a past month. I would have reviewed more than 20-25 resumes over a month, and I must say I was really surprised. I mean, I know that people from different walks of life or different industries and different profiles want to become a scrum master, but their resume doesn't reflect all that they do. When I talk to them is when I understand, oh, these people have taken up few responsibilities, but that those responsibilities are not reflected in your resume or in their resume. So this is something, resume building is an art, and it's a creative thing. So it requires lot of patience and lot of thought process to it, and that is the reason why we have professional resume builders, right? Professional resume writers, because they know that skill well. And trust me, nowadays, all of you might have heard about ATS, that is application tracking system, right? No one or no employer will sit and scan your resume manually, okay, unless you go with a reference. Your resume gets screened or filtered out in an ATS system or a tool or a software, whatever you want to call. If your resume does not reflect the keywords or responsibilities, or maybe the employment history or whatever, your resume will not reach to the right recruiter. If the ATS does not pick up your resume will not, the recruiter will not even know that your resume exists. They will not even take pains to have a look at it manually. So that is how it is. So your resume has to be really crisp. I've seen people writing six pages resume, people writing 5 pages resume, 4 pages resume. Let me give you few tips. Your resume should not be more than 2 pages long. Your resume should be very crisp, precise, to the point, and it should reflect what role you are applying for. So your resume should speak your work. Now few of you or maybe many of you will ask me, but I don't have any prior experience as a Scrum Master. How will I write about it in my resume? That way I'll never get a job, right? So as I've mentioned, when you work as a leader or maybe a lead or a manager, or if at all you have worked in a agile setup prior to this, or maybe before or earlier, what you can do is you gather all that experience. And just an example, I'll give you two examples. So one is, if you have prior experience of working in a agile project, okay, when we say agile, obviously there would be some framework, or if it is a scrum framework, which will benefit you further. So you know how scrum framework works because you have worked in an agile project earlier, though you may have not worked as a scrum master. But if you have worked in the capacity of a lead or a manager, I can tell you, you would for sure you would have touched based on some of the responsibilities of scrum master. There would be some overlap of responsibilities. How do you know that? Go back to the scrum guide, check what are the responsibilities of scrum master, inspect within your current profile what are the responsibilities, list them down, and map those responsibilities to that of a scrum master, and put that experience in your resume. Show that you have taken up those responsibilities earlier. Just an example, as I've mentioned. So if you have, say, worked on an agile project, or if you have introduced maybe scrum calls in your project, and you have facilitated that, then you can say that facilitating scrum calls in a project. That is one of the responsibilities, right? So that you can cover. If you have volunteered for any of these scrum related activities across your organization, within your organization or outside your organization, you do that. So what I'm trying to say is, check your current responsibilities, list down all the responsibilities that you do and map it to that of the responsibilities of a Scrum Master. If you find some match, if there is an overlap, you can put that experience. If you have worked on any of the Scrum projects or Agile projects earlier. If you have not worked on any Agile projects earlier, even if you have worked as a lead or a project manager. So let me give you this example. As I mentioned, you can introduce a few of the elements or components of a Scrum framework. That way you can put that experience. Or if you have worked as a project manager, okay, or a project coordinator, or even a QA manager, QA lead, technical lead. So if you have managed a team, definitely at least once you would have kind of helped team remove impediments, help team remove blockers. So this is one of the responsibilities of a Scrum Master. I'm sure any lead or a manager would have done that. So that becomes one of the responsibilities. Or if you have led any of the meetings, or if you have done any collaboration with the client, that also you can showcase. Okay, if you have taught anything in terms of a skill, or maybe in terms of practices, processes related to Agile or Scrum, that again can then you have done that role of one responsibility becomes that of a Scrum Master. Or if if suppose if you have resolved some conflict within your project, it could be like any conflict, or if you have resolved some dependencies or anything like that, again that becomes some of the responsibilities of the Scrum Master. So this way, check for the responsibilities that you have taken in your current profile or in your current role, map to that of a Scrum Master. You can check from the Scrum guide, and you can put that relevant experience. Emphasize all those points that you have done in your past or in your current profile, and that experience should reflect in your resume. So this way, you have to be very, very careful in building your resume. I'm not saying put any fake experience. No, I'm not asking you to put fake experience. What I'm just trying to say is reflect upon your current responsibilities and map to that of a Scrum Master, and then you can put those. Do not fake any experience. You will fall flat on your face, even though you have a certification, because your struggle does not uh, end with your job. Your struggle is not to find a job. Your struggle starts after you find a job of a Scrum Master. So just with a certification or faking some experience, you won't be able to get a Scrum Master job. Even if you get, you would find a lot of struggle. You would struggle with that job. So reflect upon your responsibilities and map to that of a Scrum Master responsibility, and emphasize those in your resume. This is also a very, very important point. Storytelling about your journey for interview. So now assume that you have prerequisites, you have done your certification, you have your resume right, you have done some contributions, or you have taken up some of the responsibilities, you have emphasized everything in your resume. Now what? When you go for an interview, obviously you see, interview is what? It's like you are selling your skill. So it is very important you should sell your skill, right? So how can you sell your skill? The best way to sell your skill is to tell your story. Talk about your journey, how you have landed to this position, how you have landed to this state wherein you want to become a Scrum Master. If you have already taken up some responsibilities, build that story around. I'm not asking you to cook up a story. I'm just trying to tell you to tell that story, weave a story around your journey. So what I did was, as I mentioned, I started as a developer. I have transitioned into a tester, and from tester, I transitioned into a Scrum Master. So when I was becoming a Scrum Master, or when I was aspiring to become a Scrum Master, as I mentioned, I was doing lot of shadowing to the existing Scrum Master. I was taking care of QA role as well as a Scrum Master role, both 50-50 simultaneously in every opportunity I was getting. So how did I tell my story? What I did was since I was doing 50-50 role, I told them that this was my journey. This is what I'm currently doing. Currently, I'm taking up a role of Scrum Master as well as QA, but I'm finding it very difficult to manage both the things. And obviously, it is very difficult. It is not easy to do justice to both the roles at the same time. And when I was asking for an opportunity within my organization, I used to get this answer from my managers. You do a great job as a QA, as a tester. Why would we give opportunity uh, as a Scrum Master and be at a loss of, I mean, in a QA world, right? So this is what I used to get. So, but for me, my aspirations were also important. So what I used to do was I used to tell that this is my story. I have done the certification. I have taken up all these responsibilities. I am also working as a Scrum Master to some extent. Now I am looking for a full-time job because it is becoming very difficult for me to manage both the roles. I am looking for a full-time role as a Scrum Master. And this why Scrum Master? Because I got fascinated with this role and I thought that I could relate to this role better. I have a good people management skill. I am very good in dealing with people. I'm very good in leadership skills and whatnot. So this is how I try to build a story around. So what responsibilities have you taken? If someone asked me, I used to tell, okay, this was my project. This is what the setup was. So out of this, so these were the Scrum teams. This was the project about. There was a dependency on two teams, and I used to work as a QA and I used to work as a Scrum Master. So this is how I started building a story around my journey. And trust me, no one is going to spend a lot of time on you if you do not have clarity in what you're saying. If you're just going to put forward your case as a confused person, you don't know, if you're less confident, no one is going to entertain you because this role is a leadership role. People expect that a leader should be someone who people look up to, right? So you have to be very confident. And how can you be confident? With a thorough practice and with a thorough homework. So this is what your homework could be. Before getting into an interview, build a story around your journey. This is very important. And you have to be a good storyteller to become a good Scrum Master. You may not realize now what I'm trying to say. After you become a Scrum Master, after you become one, you will understand what I'm trying to say now. So look, just inspect around your journey, look behind what you did, anything, any relevant experience, any story, any project you have worked in the past, build a story around this was your journey, put up that story. And in interview, tell the story to your interviewer. As I mentioned, do not fake story, do not put fake experience, but build with what you have and narrate this story. So remember, in the interview, what you're going to do is you're going to sell your skills. So it's you have who is going to sell that skills. So be thorough with your story. Last but not the least, networking. So it's like you might have heard about this, right? Network is your net worth, right? Networking is very, very important. Since this is like a mid-level, your Scrum Master role is like at your mid-level career or at the senior level, right? Only way, or maybe the best way that you could land up to a job is through networking. It would be difficult, I must say not impossible, to get a job via applications on a job portal or whatever, or via on a career site. But your networking will help you a lot. Networking will not only help you gain knowledge, do some engagement. So I've put up some social media platforms, right? Like Meetup, LinkedIn, Facebook, and whatnot. Go ahead and do a lot of networking. Go ahead and share your knowledge. People who who are following me might know that I do a lot of engagement. Engagement could be through anything, just like a post something every day, or maybe whenever you feel like, comment on some post, read through a lot of articles, blogs, and so on. Trust me, networking is something which will not only enhance your value, not only enhance your knowledge, it will build your personal branding. So it is very important that you do a network, and through network you will land a job. Because if you see the statistics also, 80 to 85% of the jobs you get through your networking or through references. And if you have to ask my experience, trust me, I care less about applying through the career sites. I mean, for me, that is the last option. First option for me is through references. I just talk to people wherever I find that opportunity. Go ahead, break that ice, talk to people and say that I found this opportunity within your organization. Could you please refer me? They will not say no, because they also get a referral amount, right? If you get selected and if you join the organization. So networking is the best way to seek job, to get job, to create your personal branding, and also increase your engagement and learning. So these are the points that I feel will help you as a scrum master. Please remember that just a 2-day certification will not land you a job. So all these things are really, really important to be able to get a job as a scrum master and do justice to this role. I have for now. Anything anyone would like to uh, ask or know? Any questions?
Yeah, this
Hi,
is
Ramya.
Rohan here.
Hello.
Yes, yes, Ashin.
Uh, Anyone, or should I go?
Yes, Ashin, please go ahead. Maybe Piyush, you can.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, like, what should be the kind of a like you mentioned about the recent text, so that what should be the keyword, like, especially me being a developer and want to switch to the Scrum Master, so like what should be the keywords in my resume that can be help me in getting at least like getting the calls from the different organizations or through the different job portals. So how should
Right.
I mention those? Or like, is there anyone like where I can share my resume and get the reviews or the feedback? Like, what should be done?
Sure. So, I mean, I also do, review of the resume. For that matter, I also provide resume building service also. I mean, we do a freelancing as well. But having said that, what you
Right.
can do or put in your keywords, right? So maybe if you check
Right.
the responsibilities of a Scrum Master, facilitating, right? Facilitation of your Scrum events. So maybe you want to put all the Scrum events, mention that sprint planning or review, retro, whatever, right? So facilitation of the Scrum events. Second thing could be causing removal of impediments, right? That could be one. Conflict resolution,
Right.
or maybe helping the product owner prioritization of the product backlog, directing team towards the sprint goal. So these could be some of the keywords, or leading a team as a scrum master and all of that. So if you go through the scrum guide, as I mentioned, you will get many points as a scrum master. Just reflect upon those points if you have done in
Right.
your past or not, and then you can put those as a keywords. And also,
Right.
whenever you apply for a job, right, obviously you would see the job description. Just even if you do not have anything of that sorts, right, related to the scrum master or that job, right? So what you can still go and do that, do is maybe you check, do a study of the organization that you're applying. Check which domain or which industry that they are working in, right? If you have experience about that domain or industry, even then you can put all those points. That, for an example, you are applying for an insurance company, and if you have experience of an insurance domain in the past, Write all the experience that you have or worked in an insurance domain. Even that will help you. So to answer you, check the keywords or the responsibilities from the Scrum guide and put all of those facilitation or guiding team towards the sprint goal, or could be coaching, teaching, mentoring team on the Scrum values and principles or Agile values and principles and all of those things. So these could be few of the keywords.
Sure, sure. Got it. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yes, Piyush.
Hi Ramya. Uh, so my question is actually in my organization there is no Scrum no agile method, and I had to found I had to find the job in outside the organization. So my question is how much experience I put like because I had 10 years of experience. So I confuse like 1 year 2 year or how much it required for to showcase show the in the resume. So
Right.
that
So,
is my
yeah. So as I mentioned, I mean, do not fake experience. Do not put anything that you have not done. Okay. Because if you have to fake your experience, it will be very difficult for you to prove that. So out of 10 years of experience, just see how much of that experience you have worked as a lead or a manager, and how much of that experience you have of doing some of the aligning responsibilities of a scrum master, or the responsibilities that are overlapping with that of a scrum master. How much of that experience you have, see that, and accordingly you put that. So just an example, maybe you are working out of 10 years of an experience, could be that you are working as a lead since 2 years. Okay, just an example. So
great.
just put that you are working as a lead since 2 years, and under that 2 years below that 2 years of experience in your resume, cover all that responsibilities that you have taken as lead, which are aligned to the Scrum Master. So this way you can put or maybe cover that. Or maybe if you want to just put a total experience also, that also should be fine, and not put any particular experience right away in the resume, and you may want to talk about it directly with the interviewer. Even that is fine. So it really up to you how you have to build that resume.
Okay. So earlier I was into the company, old company. So that was we are using the Scrum methodology. So I was a Scrum team member that time. But right now I forget all the things. So so just wanted to again come back to the same thing like so that's what. Uh,
So if you have already worked in a Scrum framework, right? So you
yeah.
already have an edge, right? So you can just try to reflect. I mean, what was that project about? Just think through what was that project about, what you did. And as I mentioned, if you want to really know how Scrum framework works, Scrum Guide should be the one book or one guideline
Correct.
wherein you can know how a Scrum framework is run or how it is done, or what we have at least in the Scrum framework. So just see and just try to remember what you have done in the past, and you can put all of that experience and showcase in your resume.
Okay. So, Ramya, one more question. So, theory part is okay. We can follow the Scrum guide and the material, whatever in the Agile Scrum methodology, through the Scrum.org, Scrum.org site. So, the question is the practical scenario, because nowadays they are asking some scenario based questions like, okay, so because we are not means I am not into the that Scrum level, I'm not going to that practical scenario. So can you please tell me like how the scenario based question and what are they ask some type of
Yeah.
questions.
So what happens is Scrum Master interview is very subjective. Okay. Why am I saying this is very subjective? Because the interviewer tries to ask questions based on the problems that he or she is facing in his or her own project or in his or own organization, right? They will not ask you question what you find in a Google. And this is something I don't endorse, that people go behind the Google interview question for Scrum Master, and they are like, we can mug up all the questions that we have in the Google, and we can attend the interview, but we are not able to crack the interview. What is wrong? Because as I mentioned, it is very subjective. It is only basis of what experience you have and what you have implemented. So it's like Scrum framework or maybe the theory is something which you exactly implement in your practical life also. So it's not like any other job that your theory is something else and your practical is something else. It is exactly what you have in the theory. How you do it is something is not mentioned or not covered in the Scrum guide. How is very subjective, and that is the catch of it. You might know what it is and why it is, but you don't know how it is. If you have not worked in any of the project, it will be very difficult for you to crack that how part. And that is what is the essence of the interview. Interviewer will try to understand how part of it. So if you have not done, it would be difficult. The only way to get that experience is through volunteering some of the services, right? You may also find some freelancing jobs. There are some freelancing jobs. I guess Simply Hire, if I'm not wrong, is the website. I don't remember exactly what that website is, but there are some freelancing jobs wherein you can take up as a Scrum Master and volunteer your services, and you can get some idea about that. Or if you want to just observe the projects, if just find out some project in your organization which follows Scrum or Agile, just kind of be a listener or maybe just witness what they are doing. Just try to understand what they do practically. They
Okay.
may or may not do exactly same as prescribed or maybe mentioned in the Scrum guide, but obviously they will follow some more or less the same. That way you will understand how to do practically. And
Okay.
please do not mug up interview questions given in the Google. That will not help you crack the interview for sure.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Rama. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
No problem. Any other question from anyone, or anything that anyone would like to add?
Hi, this is Kiran here.
Thank you.
Hi. The question is like, like a being is a Scrum Master, and what is what are additional responsibilities that we have? Like, we are coordinating with the customers and as well as like a developers or testers. So we are giving like a sprints work and getting the status. So apart from this, what are all the additional responsibilities? Do we need to work on proposals, and also we have to work on RCAs. So any like mistake proofing solutions. So do we need to work on these things as well?
No, I would not say that. So, many people have this misconcept of taking up the deliverables. Scrum Master takes care of the deliverables. The thing that you mentioned, that status, right? Checking the
Mhm.
status. Checking the status is not the responsibility of the Scrum Master. Working on RCA is not the responsibility of the Scrum Master. If you want to do that on by choice, you can do that. But that is not a mandatory thing to do as a Scrum Master. So you may feel that if nothing is the responsibility of a Scrum Master, then what will a Scrum Master do full time, right? But trust me, there are a lot of things, lot of challenges that you will face day in and day out. When you start your project as a Scrum Master, you have to, if you have to see whether your team actually understands what agile practices and processes are, or what Scrum practices and processes are. If they do not know, then you will have to teach them first. You'll have to teach them what how Scrum framework works, and then maybe you'll have to coach them wherever required. You'll have to mentor them. and facilitation is always there, right? Just facilitation will not help you become a Scrum Master. That is just one aspect of it. And if you say that you do not take care of the deliverables, right? So what will you do in a Scrum call, right? So the idea of Scrum call is not to check the status. You just inspect and adapt. Inspect as in where are we towards the sprint goal. You start a Scrum call as a Scrum Master. You facilitate that Scrum call. Understand from the team what they are doing, right? There would be, I mean, obviously, when we talk about team, the entire development team, I am not saying that lead and all of that, but if you see in the practical world, you will also have a technical person who is typically guiding them or helping them on a technical aspects. So let them, it's like you give them the platform, let them talk, let them collaborate, and you have to ensure that there are no impediments, there are no risks towards the sprint goal. Every day, what you have to check is how closer are they towards the sprint goal? Are there any impediments? Are there any risks in doing that? And not that favorite three questions: what did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? And impediments. No, this is not the intent of Scrum call. Similarly, review, retro, and all of those things. And what you do then in the rest of the sprint, right? There are a lot of things. It's like, I mean, if you get involved, if you talk to people, is when you understand. There are a lot of things, a lot of challenges team faces every day, day in and day out. So there is lot of help that is required by the Scrum Master in guiding team to follow these processes and practices. For an example, see whether your team is following the software development practices or not, processes or not. See whether they are doing the best practices or not. This could be a process enhancement thing. Or maybe you may want to see whether your team is following the definition of done or not. Check with team whether we can work on the definition of done. So there are many things apart from just taking care of the deliverables and doing the technical aspect that a Scrum Master does. So it really depends upon how much you want to take it and how much you want to leave it. But having said that, the responsibilities that are mentioned in the Scrum Guide are more than enough for you to be engaged throughout the sprint.
Okay. And do we need to collect any risk mitigation plan from the technical teams?
It's like if you want to facilitate that, or if you want to ensure that that is getting done, that is fine. But if someone asks you to prepare that, then that does not come under your responsibilities, right? Following RCA or risk mitigation. I think there is also something called as RAID, right? I don't know, many people follow that RAID template for that risk and mitigation plan. And when I had also joined as a Scrum Master, the program lead or a manager was expecting me to prepare the trade. I said that no, we don't require that rate template to be followed in order to identify that risk. Scrum call is the best opportunity for us to identify that risk and mitigate that, right? Through our collaboration and interaction. But if they're very specific that you have to follow some maintain that risk and mitigation, whichever project management tool that you're using, you may add a kind of a task or maybe a issue or maybe an impediment or a risk as a separate work item, and you may follow that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I think we are already past 15 minutes. Vivek, anything that you would like to add upon this?
No, Ramya, I think we are good for today. You've covered pretty much well.
Hi Ramya, one question from this. Hello.
Sure, tell me.
If the product owner left the job for some reason, or he or she may some family issue, so then then the scrum is continues going on, or like how does it will stop, or like or the scrum takes the responsibility of product owner, like So just want to know this answer.
Yes, so as per the latest Scrum guide or changes in the Scrum guide, so the roles that we talk about, product owner, Scrum Master, and development team, these are no more roles. So these are called as accountabilities. Whoever is proficient in doing that, whoever can take up that responsibilities or accountabilities, whoever understands that context and perspective can take up that. Having said that, that person should have that bandwidth and capacity to do that. If your current team or existing members of your team, be it Scrum Master, be it development team members, anyone who can take up that responsibilities or accountabilities of a product owner, they can do that. But if they do not have that capacity or a bandwidth to do that, then you will have to ask someone to represent the product owner either from the business, or you will have to kind of appoint someone who can take up that. But if they, without product owner, it would be difficult to drive the
Correct.
Scrum.
Correct. So only one project. There are only one product owner and one Scrum Master. Correct.
Not necessary. So it's not about project, it's about product. So for a product, I mean, this set, it depends, right? If the product is big enough or whether it is small enough. So if it is really big, then you will have multiple Scrum teams. So it really depends whether a single person can represent or become a product owner or Scrum Master for all the teams, or it requires a different people for different teams. It really depends upon the amount of work or the product backlog also, right? So it we cannot have any justification or a black and white answer. It really depends upon your situation or a scenario.
Okay.
So Ramya, just to add over here, Piyush, to your question, whether we can have a single product owner or for a now it completely depends. Since Scrum suggests having, I mean, the number of team, it's irrespective of the number of team, but all the team together, they are working on a single product. So the end result is a single product. So ideally, it suggests having a single product. However, since managing multiple Scrum teams, maybe to cut down on his roles or to ensure that each of the team is able to get this the knowledge or the information related to the product. What teams do is like they bring in more of a a person who is available there with the team every time in all the interactions or all the communications that they have. So maybe they call them that particular person as a proxy product owner or as a BA, irrespective of that. But then when we see from a product point of view, there is only a single person who takes up that ownership of ensuring that the value that we are delivering as a as a product end product, there is only one person who makes that decision, which is then which flows down to the different streams. So however, as Ramya mentioned, it all varies, or all it all depends on how the setup is within the organization or within that particular account. But yeah, ideally it should be more precise to have a single product owner for a particular product.
Okay. Got it. Thanks, Vivek, and thanks, Ramya. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Piyush. All right, I think yes, I think someone.
Ramya, just last question. This is Shweta. Just last question. I'll not take more than 1 minute. So I just wanted to ask if there is a possibility that there are roles which include Scrum Master and a BA, and is it really cognizant to play such a role which offers you to play the responsibilities of both the roles, Scrum Master and BA?
Yes, so I have seen such thing. I mean, wherein I have seen people getting hired as a Scrum Master and BA. So as I mentioned, as per the latest Scrum guide, these are all accountabilities and not roles anymore. Whoever can take up that role can do that. Having said that, if the person has a capacity and bandwidth to do, it would be, I mean, it's all right to do or take up that accountabilities. But if your bandwidth doesn't permit you, then you should not be doing that. As I mentioned, in my case, when I started as a QA and SM, for me, it was very difficult to manage both the roles. So that was the reason I switched completely into the Scrum Master role and left behind the QA. So if you are in a position to take up those things, you can do that. But whatever I have seen in my experience, it's better to have that segregation. Because product owner is not also not a part-time job, or nor the Scrum Master. Both of them are a full-time job, right? Because product owner has to work on the product backlog continuously, so that in advance, so that team can pick up after that. So it's not a part-time job. So there is a lot of coordination with the business. If he's from the same business team also, there is a lot of rational, a lot of efforts that go behind building your product backlog. So it is not a part-time job to take care of.
Got it, Ramya. Thank you so much for answering that.
Thank you. All right, I think we are already 22 minutes past the time, and I think if nothing else, then we can close the call. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this call today, and wish you all the best in your journey to become a Scrum Master, and have a nice weekend. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Rami. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am.